Hey, what's up, everybody? This is one half of Early Stoppage MMA, and today I'm going to be going through a International Fight Week card builder. Full disclosure, this has been sitting in the drafts for a while. We weren't going to release it quite yet because it's a little early, but Dana White decided to come out and just announce a ton of fights, so we're going to get this out of the way before these guys get booked up and everything like that, while it still stands and could happen. I, full disclosure, probably would have done a few things differently in this list, but now that all these fights have been announced, I'm going to stick with what I've got here because I still think most of it is realistic and possible. So just getting right into it, we've got Andre Lima versus Cody Durden to open up the prelims. I think this is a solid fight. Andre Lima has looked pretty impressive coming off of his last couple of wins here. Over Felipe Dos Anjos and Mitch Raposo. Didn't look as good in that, and he also missed weight, but plus, he's the guy who got bit. He's just got a little bit of clout. I think people would be interested in seeing this dude rise up. Him being paired against Cody Durden, I think makes sense because Andre Lima should be fighting up based on his last performance, and Cody Durden just lost to Joshua Van in a pretty intense beatdown. So I think this would be a fun stylistic matchup. I think this would be an entertaining stylistic matchup. I think it makes a lot of sense to pop this on the prelims. No one's really going to complain about it. It's just a solid, entertaining fight. Second fight on the prelims: Raul Rosas Jr. versus Javid Basharat. Excuse me. Raul Rosas Jr. is in a weird position where he's on a 3-fight win streak, but I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that he looks super impressive. I guess in the Terrence Mitchell fight, he did take him out in round 1 with strikes. That was pretty cool. And he got that rear naked choke on Ricky Tercios, but especially in his last fight, he did not look amazing. So I still don't think you can justify throwing him up into the rankings or against someone super close to the rankings. So I think that Javid Basharat would be a solid option. He is coming off of his last 2 fights were a no contest with Victor Henry and just lost to Aben Zahabi in his last fight, which was, not the best showing necessarily. Stylistically, I think this would be fun. You know what I mean? You've got 2 capable strikers, 2 capable grapplers. I think these dudes would put on a show. Plus, it would be fun to see, the 2 kind of ex prospects. I would say, dudes who had some hype around them that all of a sudden now facing each other to see kind of who's going to continue that trajectory and maybe actually continue the path towards the rankings and who's going to kind of fall out of favor and stay where they're at. I think this is just a good determination fight of their positions, and I think it would make for a fun spar, you know what I mean, or a fun fight. Moving on, Ryan Spann versus Jonata Deniz. I feel like this one's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's Ryan Spann at heavyweight. It might be a little early to tell, but he looked pretty good against Ovince St. Preux. Plus, Ryan Spann, I think he'll do pretty well at heavyweight. I know, again, like I said, it's early to tell, but heavyweight is so devoid of talent in many cases that athleticism goes a long way. And Ryan Spann has good power. He's pretty strong. He's a big dude. I think he would do well in this matchup. I think he'll do well in the heavyweight division. I think a move up was probably a good idea for him. And then, Jonata Deniz. This will be, I think, an interesting and a good one because he'll keep it on the feet and it'll be a fun kind of explosive match, more or less, where, he's not going to get taken down probably by Ryan Spann. Definitely could. But it seems unlikely, so I think this would stay on the feet and be a pretty fun matchup. I don't think he's going to be done like Marcin Tybura did to him in this matchup. Yeah, why not? Let's do this. It's 2 unranked guys. Whoever wins this could probably wind up fighting for a 15th ranked position in the division because there's only 30 heavyweights, so might as well do this. Get it out of the way. See who's going to do it. Who can come out on top. So then this one, I think that this is a pretty awesome fight to close out the prelims. I know that this, for a lot of people, might seem kind of controversial because Peyton Talbot just lost in a decision or against somebody where he was a massive favorite and got quote-unquote fraud checked. maybe I'm in the minority here. I think Peyton Talbot is still really good. He's still pretty young. He can totally improve. Um, he does still have pretty good grappling. I mean, he's got fairly good transitions, and he's dangerous. He's submitted people, so I don't know. I maybe it's just being a fan. Maybe it's a little biased, but I do think Peyton Talbot is going to be able to turn it around, and I think that if this fight were made, it would be so exciting that I don't really think anyone would care that it's kind of a step up in a fight against Cody Garbrandt. Because to be honest with you, I think these two are probably in similar positions in the rankings right now. And with Cody Garbrandt, I think it makes sense for him to fight an up and comer. I think that the boxing exchanges and the striking between these two would be so fun and so intense. You've got Cody Garbrandt's skill versus Peyton Talbot's, I guess he also has skill, but power. This could be explosive. This could be excellent. And I think it gets either of these two back on track. Like if Peyton Talbot, because the UFC definitely want Peyton Talbot to be an attractive prospect. And I think that he could totally get back on that in kind of a love-hate way if he just slept Cody Garbrandt. You know what I mean? It would suck, but it would also be crazy and really impressive. And then if Cody Garbrandt wins, he still got it. People love it. He can stick around and have some fun fights against even contenders like Peyton Talbot. Yeah, this is a win-win, and I think it's a great fight to headline the prelims. So moving on to the main card. This fight, I think, made perfect sense, especially because they were both supposed to fight this weekend in UFC Seattle. They would have been on the same timeline, probably, with the exception of, injuries and stuff, but the fights have since fallen out. Edson Barboza is no longer fighting on that card. I think he's injured, whereas, Gene Silva is. This fight would be just pure violence. This fight would be amazing. I would love this. I think Gene Silva would win this. I think that he would, just because he's more well-rounded, he's younger, he's powerful, would be able to take on Edson Barboza and do well. But Edson Barboza is a dog. Edson Barboza is really good, and I think that he could have quite a bit of success in a matchup like this. Again, this is a striker's delight. This would be super fun. Can you imagine the elbows in the clinch in this fight? Oh my God. Tell me that just is not such a cool idea. Yeah, this would be a banger to open up the main card with. I want to see this so bad. And it would be also a great, because Gene Silva should get a fight in the rankings after this. And Edson Barboza is at the bottom of the rankings still, at least as of right now. If they could justify keeping him around there for a little bit longer, this is a perfect fight to get Silva into the rankings. I don't think anybody would bat an eye if this was announced. I think people would be hyped. So, moving on. Khalil Roundtree versus Alexander Rakic. This fight, God, it's self-explanatory to me. I debated doing Yuri versus Roundtree, which I still think would be awesome. I think that would be amazing. And we'll see. But for some reason, Alexander Rakic, just for whatever reason, seems like he keeps getting opportunities around and up the rankings. I don't really know why. This is a fight down for him technically, and I think that they're going to want Khalil Roundtree to fight higher and to stay at least where he is and try to move up. This would be a fun fight. Can you imagine the striking of these two? Oh my gosh, this would be so entertaining. I think it's good too, because I worry about Khalil Roundtree just getting taken down by someone with good, competent grappling, like really good, which is not super common at light heavyweight, but I don't think Alexander Rakic is that person. So I think this would stay on the feet, and then I think it would just be a very, very exciting, kickboxing matchup. Yeah, with Alexander Rakic's speed, his leg kicks, versus Khalil Roundtree's Muay Thai style of, Batman Arkhaming his villains. This would rule. This would be so good. Please make this fight. Great featured fight for this fight card. For the co-main event of International Fight Week. Oh, excuse me. This is the featured fight. Completely butchered where I had it in the things. So this fight doesn't make sense anymore because Paddy Pimblett was booked against Michael Chandler. Great fight. However, I do think this would have made a good fight with Renato Moicano versus Paddy Pimblett. Who knows if Pimblett loses and he doesn't take a ton of damage and he wants to fight again, to have a quick turnaround, maybe this is still possible. We'll pretend. Um, so here, we've got an insanely hyped matchup that makes a lot of sense from a entertainment perspective, a shit-talking perspective. Press conference would be amazing. Style matchup, I think, is pretty good here, too. Moicano versus Pimblett. Moicano and Pimblett both have pretty freaking good jiu-jitsu. And, even if that canceled out, I think this would still be really fun on the feet. But I think this would be exceptional in the grappling. Like, the scrambles we'd see, the submission threats, the transitions, like, it would be so fun. It would be such a fun fight. If nothing else, just because of the beef and how long they've been kind of talking shit about each other, it would rule. So we'll see if this fight ever happens. I think this fight is more of an inevitability if Pimblett loses to Chandler. And we'll see. I know that we both have opinions on that we'll share later, but for the time being, yeah, I think this fight would rule. I think this would be really, really fun. So for the co-main, for real this time, we've got Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira for the BMF belt. At first, I thought that they were still going to potentially do Arman versus Islam, and that Charles was still going to have to wait for his chance and his opportunity. I don't necessarily think that's the case anymore with Topuria vacating the belt and moving up. Now, I think this makes even more sense. This is a fun matchup, and I think it's also a pretty clear number one contender matchup because I think that they're both about on the same position as to who might be next. If they're going to make Arman Tsarukyan wait, of course, is to do this fight right here. Max Holloway in the lightweight division, coming off a win against Justin Gaethje, where he knocked him out, incredibly impressive, schooling him the entire fight. And then you've got Charles Oliveira coming off of his impressive, patient, technical performance against against Michael Chandler. Book these two against each other to figure out who is going to be the next person to fight Islam. Putting the BMF belt on it just makes it a little bit more exciting. To be honest with you, it gives you an excuse to make it 5 rounds. Why not? Charles deserves a BMF fight. The dude is obviously BMF material. He's savage. He's fucking insane for the weight division that the belt's within. So, yeah, I say make it happen. Why not? Who's going to say no to this fight? Just super fun. Super fun. So, as far as like style wise too, like I think this would be really competitive, honestly. Max Holloway clearly has power at lightweight. He's such a good technical striker. Charles's Muay Thai style is dangerous and his grappling is dangerous, but is he going to be able to do it against Max, who has great takedown defense? I don't know. It's such an intriguing and exciting matchup. I need to see this. So great co-main in my opinion. Hope they do it. Hope they pull it off. I think it would be amazing. And then for the main event, I could change my mind and put Islam versus Topuria now that that's at least potentially on the horizon. But I'm going to stick with what I still think is the more hyped, bigger fight that just it needs to happen, at least before or near when they do Islam versus Topuria, and that is the main event of John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Come on, we got to get this out of the way. We got to do it. It is one of, if not the biggest fights in the UFC. It's honestly, it's one of the first times in the last few years that anyone's really cared about heavyweight MMA. This is an intriguing fight. This is an amazing fight. You've got the young versus the old, the GOAT versus like the unstoppable looking up and comer. We have to see this fight. I need them to make this fight. It would just be it's going to be so cool if they do it. I'm still very skeptical, but can you imagine the style matchup? Like, I don't even know how this would go. I am inclined to think that Tom Aspinall would whip his ass because he has looked so dominant. He's so big. He's so strong. He's so explosive. And he's got crazy power. And John Jones, even at heavyweight, doesn't really seem to have power. Like, because Tom Aspinall's biggest weakness, at least from what we can tell, is the fact that he keeps his chin up in the air. I don't think Jones is going to knock Tom Aspinall out. Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think he has the power. I don't think he's slick enough. I think Aspinall's gonna be too quick moving in and out. And Tom Aspinall has good jiu-jitsu too. He's submitting people. Yeah, I gotta see it. I gotta see it. I'm so intrigued. I want to see this matchup. Please make this for the main event of International Fight Week. No one doesn't want to see this. Everybody is bought in. It's gonna rule. So yeah, guys, this is our list for the our International Card Week fight, or International Fight Week card builder. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please leave your picks down below. I probably would have done this very differently if I would have put this out before Dana White dropped all this news. Tell us what you would do. Tell us if any of the fights that we have on here are dumb and not good. Any feedback is welcome. And have a good one. We'll talk to you soon for some of the fights coming up. Yeah, peace out.